Hello, I'm Tom Palmer, and I'm the author of Angel of Grasmere.
Hello, and I'm Hannah Gold, and I'm the author of Turtle Moon. Now, Tom, I'd love to hear a little bit about your book, please.
Thank you, Hannah. So it's about a girl who lives in the Lake District during the Second World War, and her brother goes missing, presumed dead, at Dunkirk, and but she starts to see a figure who looks a little like him up on the fells around the tarns in the Lake District, and she thinks she's being haunted by him, but she's not. There's another reason she's seeing him. And Hannah, could you tell us a bit about Turtle Moon?
Well, first of all, that sounds very good, and I've heard lots of really great things about Angel of Grasmere, so you're
Thank
in
you.
for a treat. My story, Turtle Moon, is about a girl called Silver. Here she is, and then she goes with her family to this rainforest turtle sanctuary, all the way in the tropical Costa Rica. And when she's there, she sees this huge leatherback turtle lay its eggs in the sand. And when the eggs get stolen, Silver sets off on this daring rescue mission through the rainforest in an attempt to get the eggs back.
Thank you, Hannah. So it's about a girl who lives in the Lake District during the Second World War, and her brother goes missing, presumed dead, at Dunkirk, and but she starts to see a figure who looks a little like him up on the fells around the tarns in the Lake District, and she thinks she's being haunted by him, but she's not. There's another reason she's seeing him. And Hannah, could you tell us a bit about Turtle Moon?
Well, first of all, that sounds very good, and I've heard lots of really great things about Angel of Grasmere, so you're
Thank
in
you.
for a treat. My story, Turtle Moon, is about a girl called Silver. Here she is, and then she goes with her family to this rainforest turtle sanctuary, all the way in the tropical Costa Rica. And when she's there, she sees this huge leatherback turtle lay its eggs in the sand. And when the eggs get stolen, Silver sets off on this daring rescue mission through the rainforest in an attempt to get the eggs back.
If you jump into my story, you'll meet a girl called Tarn, and she's angry because she's lost her brother in the Second World War, and she's also struggling because an evacuee has come to the farm area where she lives, and that evacuee is sort of coming between her and her best friend Peter, and she has to cope with her hostile feelings towards someone that's come between her and one of her friends. And I'd like to share a bit with you, so I'll just read you a little section now. So, do you remember about our hay cutter being broken? Peter asked as they walked through fields of Herdwick sheep. When the car crashed into it, Tarn said. Yeah, well, Peter stopped walking for a moment. Someone fixed it and no one on the farm knows who. What? Tarn stopped too. I thought your dad did it. Peter laughed. I know, I did too, but he didn't, and none of the farm workers or our land girls, Margaret and Kathleen, know anything about it either. Dad's asked around and found out nothing. He says it's working better than ever now. Well, someone must have fixed it, said Tarn. They even asked Eric if he did it, Peter added. Eric smiled. Well, that's a joke, Tarn thought, but managed not to say it. She was trying to be nicer to the evacuee. Anyway, Peter went on, someone in the village said it was like a miracle. A miracle, Tarn laughed. Eric was suddenly animated. My mum told me that in bad times, miracles happen. When people are suffering, God sends us signs to remind us that he loves us. They walked on the steep, rocky path, climbing the fell, neither Peter nor Tarn quite sure what to say, because Eric had never spoken before like that about God. Tarn, still keen to be kinder to Eric, to take an interest in him and not listen to the mean thoughts she kept having about him, decided to ask him about it. So did your family go to church a lot in Manchester? Eric nodded eagerly. But just me and Mum. Dad was always working and then went off to war, and my brothers gave up church, said they were too old for it. But Mum and me, we still went every Sunday. It was nice, just us. They'd tell me stuff, and she really believes in angels, that they do, and that they are there for you when you need them, and so do I.
Oh, I thought that was so wonderful. What an amazing way to spark sort of understanding and empathy and just
Thank you.
open-mindedness. I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'd love to know about one of the characters in your story, Hannah.
Oh, thank you. And if you jump into my story, then you'll meet the lead character called Silver, who is named after the color of the moon, the night that she was born. And I would say that she's courageous, tomboyish, and also a little bit sensitive. And during the story, she sees this huge endangered leatherback turtle lay its eggs on the sand. And the section that I have chosen to read for you today is from that moment. So Silver, you got to imagine, is in this tree house looking down on the sand, and then this massive, literally huge leatherback turtle is laying its eggs. As if sensing her thoughts, the turtle looked up and gazed through the branches all the way up to the treehouse to where a curious, frizzy-haired girl was gazing back down. The girl and the turtle held each other's look, a look that travelled back all the way to the time of the dinosaurs. It wasn't just a look, though, it was a question from one living being to another. You want me to help? The turtle inclined her head ever so gently it might just have been a figment of Silver's imagination, but nevertheless she nodded back. I'll do that for you, she whispered. I'll look after your eggs. I promise. Any extinct animal was a loss to the world's delicate ecosystem. Silver now knew that most turtles fed on jellyfish, and that without the turtles, the jellyfish numbers would increase. And it was just these subtle imbalances like this that upset the entire makeup of the ocean. But it wasn't just about the ecosystem. To lose any animal, especially due to human impact, was just a terrible injustice.
Brilliant. Thank you for reading that. And I really love the at the beginning and through, like, get seeing it from the point of view of the turtle, like from the perspective. That's really clever. So well done. Thank you for reading that.
Thank you, Tom.
So now it's time to take the empathy challenge, and we're going to be looking at empathy characters.
So, what are empathy characters? Well, let me tell you. Basically, empathy characters are empathy activists. And that means not just feeling the feelings of empathy, but Tom, it also means taking action as well. I don't know about you, but sometimes I can feel something about something, but it's way more uh, encouraging and inspiring when we take that next step of action. So, being an empathy activist is about being the kind of person that can make a difference.
So for me, practicing empathy skills is really important, and also for me, reading fiction in particular, stories about other people in different places and different times, really helps me understand other people's lives, and it helps through fiction in particular. It helps me understand how people have felt through different situations, and then I think the more I do that, the more I read about other people's lives, the more when I meet other people, I can maybe understand them a little better, and can talk to them and can ask them questions. And I'm sure when people have read stuff and then they've met me and they might have read about someone like me, it helps them in the same way.
So, for our empathy challenge, we're going to be taking a deep dive into why certain characters act a certain way in our stories. And doing this is going to help us with our all important perspective taking skills.
So Hannah, could you tell us, like in the passage you read from Turtle Moon, could you tell us a bit about how Silver was feeling during that passage you read to us, please?
I think it was such an important moment, probably the most important moment for Silver in the book, because there she is watching this humongous turtle lay its eggs. And it's something that you just do not normally see in normal day-to-day life. So she's feeling this wonder, this wonder at kind of the magic of wildlife. She's feeling a sense of awe because the turtle is so endangered and it's such a rare thing to see. She's also feeling, and you probably got this really strong sense of protectiveness. Here's an animal which is very, very in trouble with all sort of the threats from the natural world and from loss of their habitat. So she's feeling this sense of protection that she wants to look after those eggs. And she's also feeling a sense of, I suppose, inspiration as well, because I think whenever you see something amazing in wildlife, it fills you up in this kind of really magical way. So she's feeling inspired as well by just by, yeah, the beauty of nature. So those are all the
That's
things I think that my Silver would
and
feel.
that's perfect empathy, isn't it? That
Yeah.
like looking at the point of view of this animal. It's not even another person, it's an animal, and seeing the world from their point of view that really works.
Yeah, and that relationship between humans and
Yeah.
animals as well, which is something that I'm really fascinated by. So going back to the bit that you read, that wonderful piece, Tom, how do we think, or how would you describe, what are the feelings that would you to describe Tarn in that excerpt?
I think, and thank you for asking. I think she's kind of had the rug pulled from under her because she thinks her brother's been killed in the Second World War. So she's cross, and there's other things which have made her cross as well. And now there's this person who's kind of coming between her and her best friend, and she wants to lash out at him. She kind of wants to punish him for what's happening to her, but he's he's just this lad from Manchester. He's had to leave his home. He's had to leave his mum, and he's feeling really vulnerable, trying to fit in. And here's this girl who could be lashing out at him. And I think it's really important, isn't it, that when we're cross, not to take it out on other people. And I think we all do it. I'm sure I've done it, and you've just got to rein it in, haven't you? And think, how are they feeling like? Are they even feeling even more vulnerable than I am? And that's how you make friends, isn't it? And that's how, by empathizing for people, even when you're a bit wound up, that's a superpower, isn't it? That's a really good
Totally
thing to
is.
do.
So do you think that she's feeling, you mentioned the word cross, do you think she's like really angry and furious, but also like a little bit confused and vulnerable?
Yeah, I do. And also, I think confused is a good word because she's the person she's been really close to this Peter, like all through their childhood, and it's just been them really, and someone's coming in between them. It is confusing because you want to be nice to people, but and you don't want them to see the dark side of you. But so what do you do and how do you behave? And it's good just to step back and look at, like, it could be other people's lives, or in your case with your story, animals and what they're suffering or about to suffer. And we should say at this point, actually, that teachers, this could be a good point to stop the film, just pause the film for a bit, and to ask your students to maybe come up with some words. We've come up with some words to do with emotions and feelings. You could maybe ask some of your students to do that.
That'd be a really fun thing to do. And remember to choose words which are kind of not just kind of standard words like happy or sad. Because when I'm writing, Tom, I sometimes just use the first describing word I come to, but then
Oh
I
yeah,
have to stop and think, could I
yeah.
choose maybe a deeper or a richer word than happy? So what about ecstatic or sparkly? So choosing language which maybe kind of is a little bit outside of what you'd normally choose would make
It
this
isn't.
exercise even more exciting.
It doesn't. Do you just write it quickly and then go back and edit in the stronger words?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
use my
me too.
thesaurus is my best friend, because I use these same words again and again and again,
Yeah,
and then I would probably go back and replace them with stronger words and richer words. We have
yeah,
like a dynamic vocabulary rather than just, one word.
yeah. And then it's better for the reader to read, isn't it? It's a richer
Exactly. Because it
experience.
sparks the empathy, it sparks the understanding by using like a richer sense of describing words for your emotions. So good luck.
Agreed. Yes, good luck. So welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed the challenge we just set to you. We're now going to do something which I think is going to be really interesting, because I'm going to ask Hannah some questions, but I'm going to ask Silver, her character, some questions, and Hannah's going to answer as her character. And my first question for you, Silver, is why do you care so much about a random animal that you just come across in the world?
I'm not going to pretend to do Silver's voice. I was going to do an impersonation, but no, I really care about the animals because my mum is a vet and I've grown up with with animals and seeing my mum care for them and look after them. So it just feels really natural to kind of look after the animals because it's all I've ever known. And any animal, be it like one of the pets that mum has been looking after,
Yeah,
or a wild turtle, or one of the sloth or the monkeys in the story, I think is just as important to care for them as much as we care for any animal.
Good question, good answer. And the next thing I wanted to ask you was, so you're clearly going to have some adventures in this book, and it's going to be dangerous to you. How do you worry that in helping another animal, in helping another creature, um, you're going to put yourself in danger, and does that bother you, or how do you sort of process that?
To be honest with you, I don't really think about the danger because I'm so sort of, I'm a little bit impetuous, which means that I act before thinking. And so when I hear that the eggs have been stolen, I don't really stop to think about it too much. I just know I need to put on my kind of my rainforest clothes so I don't get bitten by the mosquitoes. I need to head out into the jungle and do what I can to try and get the eggs. I think when I'm older, I might stop to think about things a little bit more. But at the moment, no, I want to just act and do stuff.
Well, that sounds like the kind of adventure I'd like to read. So thank you for those answers.
Thank you. Baseball cap back to front. Here I am, ready for action. Now, going back into the far more sensible and slightly boring footsteps of Hannah Gold, Tom, I'm going to do the same exercise with you. So, for the teachers watching, this is what we call a hot seat exercise. So, Tom is going to pretend to be Tarn. Is that correct?
I'll try.
Okay. Let's test see how well he knows Tarn, shall we? Now, yeah, revision. Tom, I feel like that was a really, you're going through a really emotional, almost kind of character forming, life-changing moment. So how does it feel to have those kind of conversations?
It's difficult because I've got this deep down inside me. I've got this sadness. I've got a sadness about what happened to my brother. I've been told he's been killed at Dunkirk, and he, he was everything. He was everything to me. And like now I have this feeling like I'm going to lose my friend, and I do feel like I am really cross with Eric, and but I kind of see the world from his point of view a little bit, and I'm trying really hard, and like what I wanted to do, I asked him that question. I asked him about him and church, and him and his family, and it just because I knew that if I heard about his life at home, it kind of might make me feel more sympathetic towards him. So that was what I was trying to do because I knew I was kind of letting myself down, and Peter, my best friend, he wouldn't be pleased if I was being mean to his evacuee.
Tan, thank you so much for being so honest and sharing this with us. That's been really interesting. And hopefully, we can all see how much hot seating our characters in our stories can be actually really useful to widening our perspectives. I think this is a really fun one to do. So, working as a team, ask each other questions. But when it's your turn, you are pretending to be the character. You could choose mine or Tom's books, but you could just choose your favorite books as long as you know the character pretty well, and the other person asks you questions and you answer from the perspective of your character, imagining, feeling, and going through all the emotions that they might be feeling. And that's a wonderful way, like Tom has been saying, to get perspective.
So now it's your turn.
So, welcome back. I hope you had fun trying out that empathy character challenge. I know it's something really interesting to do, not just in books, but also in real life. Imagine if you could see something from the point of view or the perspective of one of your friends or your family members or even your teachers. Imagine then how you would start to see and feel the world a little bit differently.
There are 8 more creative empathy challenge activities to try. You can check them out at empathylab.uk.
And teachers, we would love to see some of your amazing photos or videos. So please do share them by tagging at Empathy Lab UK and hashtag Empathy Day Festival.
Whose story will you jump into next.
We loved sparking empathy with you today.
Thank you for taking part in the Empathy Day Festival.
It's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from
From me, see you later.
see ya. Bye bye.